Hi, my name is Bear, and today the lesson will be on American pronunciation. Um, and we'll just go over the basics. What we're going to cover today is the just general introduction to American pronunciation. I'll show you a few different types of accents within the United States, and I'll also make a claim saying that there is one general American accent, and that is the way that I'm speaking right now. That is, there are odd quirks here and there depending on the accent in the US, but I think that there is one stable, kind of like run-of-the-mill, normal accent that you will hear, and it is probably closest to the accent that I'm using right now. Um, and then we'll go into specific American pronunciations. We'll go over the basics like letters and pairings of letters that we use in English, which are definitely good to know and good to practice. Then I'll go into homonyms. It's not necessary to know that word now. I will explain it later. And then lastly, we'll get to the exercises. So let's get going. Okay, so here are the most known accents in the United States. First one, Southern accent. You can see right here. That's basically what we would call the South. And oftentimes when I hear people mimic an American accent, it's either Valley Girl, which is Californian, and they use a lot of like and totally, and like let's go to the mall. But we'll get to that one a little bit. And so, or they speak like Southern. And I actually have a pretty good example for you. It's from straight out of Forrest Gump. I hope that whoever is watching this, you know that movie because it is fantastic. And so, yes, some southern states are Texas, Georgia, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, North and Southern Carolina, and there's a few others as well. It's just this whole big thing right there. All right, so let's get to the YouTube video. Just got two. Oh no. Boom. Okay, new share. And let's get over to, oh, where there it is. No, not this one. There we go. Okay. So here is Forrest Gump, and this is a prime example of just about the thickest Southern United States accent that you can get. So good. Okay. So that is a prime example of a Southern accent. Let's get back to the PowerPoint. Perfect. And then there's the Northeastern, which is this section in the top right. And so some of these accents would include it'd be like New Yorker, New Jersey. Yeah, there's a whole kind of bunch in there. And I wouldn't say there's one just solid accent. Same for Southern. There's not just one Southern accent, not just one Northeastern accent, but there is the most known ones. And so I'm going to show you a New Yorker accent from a scene from Midnight Cowboy. Okay. No, not that one. All right. This is a New Yorker accent. Okay. So now there's a Midwestern accent. The most known is probably Chicago. Chicago. That was my bad attempt at doing a Chicagoan accent. But in this area, you know, there's Wisconsin, there's Illinois, there's Minnesota, there's Michigan, Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, which are a little bit more south as well, but North and South Dakota too. And so here's the prime example of a Chicagoan accent. That's an SNL skit if you didn't know. Okay, and then so I'm from California, so of course I have to include this one. This is the often quoted Valley Girl accent, but this is more of a surfer accent. I actually know people who speak like this in this next example. The accent does vary across the state, and so this accent that I'm about to show you is like the thickest accent, the most strong accent possible, like where I'm from in my area. Again, I know some people who actually speak like this, although probably not this thick. I don't know if this guy is being 100% serious, but I would not be surprised if he is being serious. So, without further ado, here is the Californian accent, or more properly, the Southern Californian accent. Prime example. It's a prime example. Prime meaning it's just a great example. All right, and so what I would say the most average American accent is the one that I'm using, and the one that you would hear most commonly on American TV shows or movies. Again, if it's a movie like Surfer Dude, then you would hear something like Californian, or if it's like Forrest Gump, then you'd hear something from the South, like a Southern accent. And yeah, it depends regionally, but I would say that the vast majority of movies, there is just kind of like a general American accent that you would hear. And this is the accent that we'll be focusing on. So here's some specific American pronunciations. Let's move me out of the way. Okay. And so let's start off with the letters. So how we would say them: A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. And now I'm just going to say how we would actually say them. So A, B, B, K, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, A, P, K, R, S, T, A, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Now here's some necessary pairings of letters. They all make a very specific sound, and within the exercises, we will be using a lot of these, and a combination of a lot of these. And so we'll start off with TH, which goes or th. There's actually a very, very minute difference, very, very small difference between some words like the, for example, and thanks. So you wouldn't say thanks, you would say thanks. And you wouldn't say the, you'd say the. You stress it a little bit differently. The amount of force that you put onto the TH sound changes. And then there's ER, which is I have found in the past that and R are very difficult for the French tongue, just as the French R and like rien is very difficult for the American tongue. It's because we don't actually have the tongue muscles necessary to produce that sound. So it just takes a lot of practice. It's very, to be repetitive. You have to repeat it a lot. And so R, and then CH, ch. Some cases, sh. In French, you have that. And then SH, sh. WH, w, like what. And then EW, U. And then OH, O. AH, ah. And then NG, like you ring. So now homonyms. Homonyms are words that sound alike but have different meanings. There are two different types of homonyms. One type is a homograph, and these are words that look alike and sound alike, but they might have different meanings. And then homophones are words that sound alike but do not look alike. So, what are some examples? Homographs. Not all words that look alike sound alike. Okay, so homograph, the example number 1. So it looks like the same, but they have two different meanings. So tear, this could be a tear when you cry, when you're sad. It's this tear. Or there's a tear in a piece of paper. Or you could say it like a verb. I am tearing this piece of paper. I am tearing. Okay, and then there's a bat, like a baseball bat. And then there's the animal bat. Again, looks the same. There's a bass, and then there's a bass. Bass and bass. Two entirely different things. Bass is the fish, bass is the bass guitar. And then there's a bar, like where we go to have a drink with some friends, to pass the time with some friends. And then there's a metal bar, comme ça. a metal bar like this. And then there's a letter like the letter A or the letter B, C, D. All of those are letters. And then there is a letter where you send a letter. I'm sending a letter to a friend. This is a letter. Okay, now homophones. Some words sound alike, but do not look alike. Bare, like bare feet, or bare hands, and bear, like bear animal, or bear, like my name, but my name is spelled B-A-E-R. So these two are switched. And they all mean something different, but they all sound the same. Bear, bare feet, bear the animal, bear me. And then there's hey and hey. Again, they sound the same, but they're spelled differently. Hey is a form of saying hello. Hey, how are you? Or hey, like what cows and horses and some animals eat. Hey. And then there is pair, like a pair of shoes, pair of gloves. It's two things that come together, which if you take one out, it would be basically useless, or it would look a little bit weird. Like if you were just wearing one glove, that's different than this one. That's still technically a pair, but they would be a little bit off. So they have to go together. They are a pair. And then there's the fruit pear. Pear. And then there's 8 and 8. I ate so much cake. Or he ate so much cake. And that's why he looks so full and happy. Although I probably would feel a little bit sick if I ate that much cake. And then there's the number 8. Great number. Number 8. They sound the same, but are different. Board and board. So many different types of boards. There is a chessboard, a checkers board, there's a skateboard, there's a surfboard, and there's snowboard, many different types of boards, a skimboard, and then you could just be bored, which I'm hoping that you're not as you watch this. So bored is like, oh, I'm just so bored. Like, I'm just so bored. There's nothing to do, or I don't know, something is boring me. This kid, he looks pretty bored, and obviously he's pretty bored too. Okay, now on to the exercises. For these exercises, I will give a few sentences, and then what I want, so I'll read each sentence slowly, and what I want you to do is to just repeat after me. You don't have to know the words. Some of the words are complex or complicated, but ça ne fait rien. As long as you repeat after me, then and you practice, it's how you will be able to make these sounds. Okay, so to start, my aunt's car's audio is audaciously audible. Okay, one more time. My aunt's car's audio is audaciously audible. You see? So aunt's car's audio is audaciously audible. The AU there being ah, like I said earlier in the AH. My aunt's car's audio. So notice the difference. Aunt, audio. Aunt, audio. A little bit different. On, ah. On, ah. Okay, next one. I tear up. I tear up as I watch the bear tear my only pair of pears. So I tear up as I watch the bear tear my only pair of pears, the fruit. So then the stressor here is the air, and also ear. I tear up as I watch the bear tear my only pair of pears. Next one. 2 oarsmen floated the boat to the coast to get to the oasis. So here I used O and A, but you can quickly see that they sound actually differently. 2 oarsmen, and then floated the boat, these two being the same, to the coast, same as these other two, to get to the oasis, totally different. Oarsmen, oasis, float, boat, coast. 2 oarsmen floated the boat to the coast to get to the oasis. Now, I awaited my fate with a great wait. So here, specifically, the sound is 8. But if you can notice that it's all in different ways. I awaited, so there it's AI. That's how you say A there. I awaited my fate. There it's ATE. I awaited my fate with a great. Here it's actually spelled EAT, great. And then lastly, wait, EIGH. So they are all different variations. They are all different ways to say A. I awaited my fate with a great wait. And even right here, A, just the letter A, or you could even say a great wait, but I prefer to say a great wait. Next one, I sewed the sinews of the bewitching and bewildering news. I sewed. This is very uncharacteristic. It's very abnormal. It's not normal for the EW to sound like this. I sewed. I sewed. To sew something. I sewed the sinews. See how it has the same EW, but it sounds entirely different. Sounds very different. I sewed the sinews of the bewitching and bewildering news. So here, bewitching, you wouldn't say bewitching, but then here you say bewildering. So it's just different in the way that you say the word, even though they each start out with the same 4 letters. Bewitching and bewildering. And then lastly, we have news, les nouvelles. News, sinews, sewed, bewitching, bewildering. All right, last time all together. I sewed the sinews of the bewitching and bewildering news. Okay. I argued in a queue for an issue that is due about a duel that ensued over a queue. This is a fun one. I argued. It's similar to sinews. I argued. Except notice that there's a little bit more U. So sinew, oo, or view, argued. It's a little bit more U sound. I argued in a queue for an issue that is due about a duel, a little bit different, duel. You still have the U sound, then you end with ol. So duel, it almost sounds like you go ooh, duel. That ensued over a Q. That's a really good one to practice to get the U sound down, to produce the U sound. So the excavation crew exuberantly exhaled, waiting for the exhausting exhibition. The excavation crew exuberantly exhaled, waiting for the exhausting exhibition. A lot of big words in here, but again, you don't need to know them. It's just good to practice. This really makes use of the x and when and where to use it. The excavation crew exuberantly exhaled, waiting for the exhausting exhibition. So exhibition, exhausting, exuberantly, exhaled, excavation. Last one. I was a fool and stole the toadstool's cool jewel. So I was a fool, two O's, ool, and stole, similar, but slightly different, ol and ool, ool, ol. I was a fool and stole the toadstool's, cool jewel. Notice here how this is spelled totally differently than this one, but cool and jewel sound the same. Ool, ool. I was a fool and stole the toadstool's cool jewel. Okay, now here is all the exercises, all of the sentences I just said put together into one big sentence. I argued with my bewildered aunt over her floating boat so I can take my exhausted bear to the exhibition on the other coast. One more time. Just repeat this after me. I argued with my bewildered aunt over her floating boat so I can take my exhausted bear to the exhibition on the other coast. Notice too how other and with, the TH is different. With and other. So the TH in other is more of a th. The TH in with is th. With and other. Further practice. So these three sentences that I have right here are good to just repeat over and over and over and over. They're good to develop the tongue muscles, the muscles on your tongue, so that you can say these sounds very well or fluidly, because you need to practice in order to actually make the accent work, in order to actually sound like somebody from the United States. So, first one, and say it exactly how I say it. Try to, attempt to. work on those tongue muscles. Her bird is over the nerd's turd. This is a necessary one to practice because there's a lot of and that one can be very difficult. Her bird is over the nerd's turd. And the next one, they thankfully thought that the thorax thinned. So take note, understand here how the TH differs. So listen to when I sound the TH as v, and when I sound the TH as f. So they thankfully thought that the thorax thinned. One last time. They thankfully thought that the thorax thinned. So last one. This works on the oo sound or the u sound. Sue said ew at a pew with a bewildered hue. Sue said ew at a pew with a bewildered hue. Okay, so I'm going to say each one more time. Her bird is over the nerd's turd. They thankfully thought that the thorax thinned. Sue said ew at a pew with a bewildered hue. And that is it. And if there was anybody here that I would ask if you wanted to ask any questions. But seeing as how there is nobody here, I will just end this meeting. Thank you. And if you're watching this later and on the recording, I hope you enjoyed. And welcome to the Inspire Academy.